All right, so the first thing we're going to cover is scales. Now, you might be asking yourself, why do I need to know scales to play solos? Well, scales are arguably the most important factor in learning lead guitar. It's where you get your notes from. You got to think of scales as the blueprints to your guitar solos, the building blocks of your guitar solos. The scale of your song and your solo is going to determine how it sounds. Now, you might ask yourself, well, how do I know what scale to play? Well, that's going to be based on what type of music you're playing, what scale the song is written in, what key the song is in. There are a lot of factors, but we're going to cover all the common scales that you're going to use in rock and metal lead guitar playing, starting with the most common one, the pentatonic scale. Now, this scale is probably the foundation of all rock music. You might have heard this referred to as the blues scale, which is correct. This pentatonic scale, this 5-note scale, is basically the foundation of blues music, and blues is the foundation, or one of the foundations, of rock music. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate what this scale sounds like in the context of a guitar solo. I went ahead and recorded a solo over a track in the minor pentatonic scale, just to give you an idea of what it sounds like. Here it goes. All right, so now hopefully you have an idea of what this scale sounds like. Hopefully that gave you some context. So now let's dive into it. So I like to use the key of A as just a general starting point. You can play the scale in any key. It's just A is kind of like home base for me here. So let's start in the key of A on our 5th fret. I'm just going to play it through back and forth just so you can hear it. So what you're doing is you want to utilize your index, pinky, and ring finger on this. So on our low E string, we're doing 5, and then with the pinky, we're doing 8, and then the next string over, 5 and 7, same with the D, 5 and 7 with the G, and then 5 and 8 with the B string, and then 5 and 8 with the high E. Coming back down. Now, I also highly recommend using alternate picking when you're going through these scales. It might be more comfortable to start with downstrokes, but that's going to severely limit your speed. When you have to speed it up, that down picking is going to be your worst enemy. So practice it right from the beginning. Use alternate picking. Down, up, down, up. I'm going to see, I'll just to show you, this is about as fast as I can play it with down pick. That's rough, it sounds choppy, and it's sloppy. Here's doing it with alternate picking at like a medium speed. Alright, so what I showed you was the most basic bare bones variant of the pentatonic scale. There are a ton of variants, and we're just going to go over a couple common ones in this lesson. So the next variant I want to show you is a demonstration of just how much of an impact changing one note can have. So this next variant of the scale is exactly the same, minus one note. That's our change. So all I did was sharp a note on the G string. Instead of doing the standard 5-7, we did 5-8. And I feel like it gives it just a little bit more attitude, a little more flavor. All right, so the next variant I'm going to show you involves adding some notes. We're going to add some chromatics to this pentatonic scale. Now, chromatics are a great way to spice up any kind of solo, especially pentatonic solos. So in this variant, the only strings where we're adding notes are our A and G strings. So same thing where we start as the previous ones, fret 5. Now we do 5, 6, 7 on the A, then 5, 7 on the D, then 5, 7, 8 on the G, then 5, 8 on B and E. Now just a side note, I'm doing all these in the key of A, but you can do this scale in any key you want. This is just a start, but we can do this in E if you want. Let's go to the 12th fret. Or you could do it in the key of B if you want. The scale works no matter what key you're in. All right, so the fourth variant I want to show you involves chromatics and some diagonal movement. So this one's going to be a little bit more difficult, so make sure you practice it nice and slow, do it with a metronome, do it at a nice pace where you could do it 5 to 10 times with no mistakes, then slowly bump the tempo up. So don't let it intimidate you, just do it note by note. Here it goes. So it's basically just one pattern played over 3 octaves. So what you want to do is 5, 8 on the low E, chromatic on the A, 5, 6, 7. Now here, when we go to our D, stick it with the index finger on 5 and then slide up to 7. That slide's important. Then use your pinky to hit 10, chromatic on the G, 7, 8, 9. Now this is where it gets tricky because we have to shift a fret. Go to our 8, use your index finger to roll over, hit that 8, slide up to 10, pinky on 13, then we do our chromatic on the high E of 10, 11, 12. Come back down, slide back down, use your ring finger to stick that 9 right here, and come back down chromatic. Pinky, index, slide back down, come down to chromatic, 7, 6, 5, then end it off with 8 and 5. So we learned quite a bit about the minor pentatonic scale. Now we're going to move on to the major pentatonic scale. It's not as common in rock music, but it really does add another dimension to your playing, and it can really make your solos stand out. Let's get into the scale itself now. So if we were playing it in the key of A, like the minor pentatonic scale, it would sound something like this. Start with your middle finger on this one, on 5th fret low E, pinky on the 7, and then use your index finger to hit 4 on the A, 7, 4, 7 again, 4, 6 on the G, 5, 7 on the B, and then just hit that 5 on the high E. Also, if you want to, make it feel a little more even, you can add that next note in the scale, the 7 on the high E, if you want to. That's basically the major pentatonic scale right there. Now, another trick I like to show people when it comes to the major pentatonic scale, instead of playing it the way I just showed you, you can do what's called the relative minor. You can play a minor pentatonic scale in a specific key that will make it sound major. Now, for that to make a little more sense, let's say we're using the key of A, we're soloing behind this kind of chord. You can do your major pentatonic scale. Or you could move down to F sharp and play F sharp minor. There's your root, there's your A. So the trick for figuring that out, any major pentatonic scale you're playing, let's say we're starting on the key of E on our 12th fret. The way to do that is move down 3 frets. So we're on our 12, 1, 2, 3. So 9. These are all the same notes within a scale. So that's my trick for figuring out your relative minor for major keys. So same thing with A. Move down 3 frets. 1, 2, 3. And that's finding your relative minor within a major key. All right, so I think that does it for our pentatonic scale introduction. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and dive into the exercises. The exercises are really going to hit these concepts home and really solidify what I've introduced to you in this lecture. Anyways, go ahead, hammer out those exercises, and I'll see you in the next section.